Chamacuero Ramirez here. I want to share a story with you about the flute, and this comes from the plains. The story goes that there was a boy, well, a young man, and it was his turn to go out to demonstrate his skills and his ability to survive on his own. The test required that the elders and the warriors would take him out into the field and away from the camp, and he was to survive for 3 days on his own. And after those 3 days, he was to return back to the village and demonstrate that he was capable and he had good skills to survive. So it was really easy for him. He knew he could handle this. So the warriors, they took him out and they traveled for half a day, and as he went out, he would look around and was just looking at the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees. Eventually they came to a point where they left him off and they said, stay here for 3 days. And on the third day, return back to the village. And the boy was pretty confident that he could do this. And he did really well. He made a camp, he made a fire, caught some food, and he managed for 3 days on his own and had a really great time. On the morning of the third day, he went out to go pack up his camp, clean up everything else, and then head back to the village. And he started to walk off in one direction, and then he had to stop and think about where he was going. He looked around, he wasn't quite sure where he was at. So he's thinking, I think I'm supposed to go this way. So he turned, he started walking in that direction, and as he went a little further, and after a while, he realized that nothing there looked familiar. He says, no, I think I'm wrong. Let me go back to the camp. So he went back to the camp where he was at, and he couldn't find it. And he kept walking around and trying different directions, and he realized he could not find out where he was at. So he started off in one direction and not recognize anything. He started off in another direction. And about halfway through the day, he realized that he was hopelessly lost. There was no way he was going to find his way back to the village. And as the day grew later, he started losing hope. Eventually, he decided that he wasn't going to make it back. So he found a tree, and he laid underneath it, and he decided just to wait there until he died. And as he was laying there, he heard a sound. He went. He looked up, he looked around, he didn't see anything, so he laid back down again. And he heard a sound again. And then there was a voice. It said, follow me, I can take you home. At that, the boy jumped up and looked around, and he couldn't see anything. And he heard it again. Follow me, I can take you home. So the boy looked up, and up in the tree was where the voice was coming from. So he climbed up the tree and he waited, and he heard the sound again. And he found a branch. And there was a branch, and it had been hollowed out, and there was holes in it, probably from worms or woodpeckers. So he cut it off, he took it down to the tree, and he looked it over. And he found that if he turned it in one particular direction, the wind would blow down and it would make the noise. But if he turned a different direction, the noise would stop. Then he remembered all the lodges in his village, all the doors would face away from the wind to keep the wind from blowing anything into the lodges. He says, this is how I'll find my way home. So he held the branch, and as long as he was moving in the right direction, the whistle would blow. But when he was no longer in the correct direction, he stopped and he turned until he got the sound again. And he kept walking, and soon he was able to see his village in the distance. And he was so excited, he took off running. And in the village, they were really excited to see him. So they came out to meet him, and they were all excited that he finally made it back home. It was late, and they were worried. And he held it up, and he says, wait, wait. And he showed him the flute. And he said, this is how I got home. And he blew it, and he showed them all, and they were all amazed by this. And they all went, and they cut branches, and they hollowed them out, they made the holes, and they started playing the flutes. If you go to a powwow today, dancers carry flutes with them. And if the drum's really good and the song's really great, you'll hear the dancers blow their whistles. That means play more, play on. And we love this song. And that's the Plains Indian version of the origin of the flutes. So if you enjoyed that story, just say ho!
Ho!